Welcome to Rooster Radio, a broadcast dedicated to supporting and promoting local artists in the Gaston County and surrounding areas.
Let's talk about how you guys all come together. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Not Quite Bret Michaels, who is the lead singer of Poisonous, Not Quite Poison, who will be doing an early New Year's Eve party.
No, late New Year's. Well, early
New Year's Eve party this Saturday.
Screw me.
The 28th. December 28th, yes. So we're actually gonna have two New Year's Eve parties here. We're gonna have the Not Quite New Year's Eve party on Saturday night for all you day walkers, and then we're going to have another one on actual New Year's Eve. And Not Quite Poison, and then we've also got Kings of Noise.
That's our other band.
That's your other band.
Yep.
And then Justin Waters.
Waters. Yeah.
Justin Waters. So talk a little bit about why Poison, why y'all came together to do Poison, and then how King of Noise comes about.
Oh, I mean, Poisonous came about, really started a long time ago. I call the origins of this band starting with me going to my very first concert at age 13. My aunt took me to see David Lee Roth, who was a headliner, and Poison was opening up, and they had just put out Open Up and Say Ah. So it was just before they started headlining their own tours. Very first concert, Poison and David Lee Roth. And so always grew up Poison fan, hair bands, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, all that stuff. Well, graduate into about 20 years ago, me and some friends went to see a Poison, Motley Crue, and Guns N' Roses tribute at the Amos's.
Okay.
And it was a New Year's
Killer
Eve.
lineup, by the way.
Yeah. But they were all the same guys. They changed the wigs. So it was a troop, and they just changed the wigs. So every time they'd come to Charlotte, our group would go see them. And then I started recognizing the guy that did CC and Slash. He's 6'4". I can recognize him anytime I see him. Saw him at concerts and stuff like that, and I always saw him around. So go another 5 years into that, I'm running a pro wrestling show for the sheriff's department here in Gaston County, and that was my annual thing. I did pro wrestling for a long time. So I'm running that show, and up in the stands is Bill Spears, who's a guitarist for Stone Whiskey, and that's him. I recognize him. I'm like, that's the dude from my tribute bands. I love him. Oh my God. So I popped huge. I'm like, here's a guy I thought was a celebrity.
Yeah, you're
right?
fanboying at this point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I go up in the stands, I introduce myself, and him and his friends, I was like, y'all come down, meet the wrestlers, take pictures, do whatever you want. We got to talking. I told him, that I recognized him and stuff. And he said, well, when we come to Charlotte, you're going to hang out with us. I'm in. So we're at Amos's. I'm in backstage at Amos's. I'm hanging out with them. We become instant friends, family, right? Just like that, clicked. So every time they come to Charlotte, I'm hanging out with them. Anytime they're in the area, I'm hanging out with them. And just build a rapport with them. I started being a roadie and doing that stuff. And so when they do the Guns N' Roses, I would go out with during Knocking on Heaven's Door, and I would walk out on stage, and when they do Knocking on Heaven's Door, the Not Quite Axel would do I do one, you do one, and that's where we'd kind of play off each other. And I would stand out there with them, not as Bret Michaels, but just as myself, and just kept doing stuff like that with them. And Bill kept telling me, why don't you, start a band or do something? I was like, nah, man, I'm having too much fun with y'all. He's like, no, you need to do something. And then they stopped doing the Poison and Motley Crue. They were just focus on Guns N' Roses. So he kept pushing me along. He's like, why don't you do the Poison? And so I met up with a band, and I wanted to do the Poison, but they weren't too into it. And when I tried out for them, and it just didn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then I met...
Did that discourage you at all?
A little bit at first. And, it was kind of like, I quit that band and just we weren't doing any gigs, weren't doing anything except rehearsing, and it just didn't work out. But I met the brother of my guitarist, Steve Peralta. I met him at lunch one day.
Love Steve. Love you, Steve.
Yeah.
And I looked up his Facebook, circle of friends. He's like, yeah, my brother's looking for a guitarist or looking for a band. And talked to Steve. Steve started putting it together. This was 6 years ago. This was before I met, before me and Chastity, my wife, got together. So this would be 7 years now. So 7 years ago, I met Steve in December, and then that January we started rehearsing with our drummer and bass player at the time. Both our original drummer and bass player have moved on to other bands.
Okay.
But we started rehearsing the Poison and doing that.
Steve is so cool.
Really
Steve reminds me of like a teenager who just can't get enough of it.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
He
Like,
really
like,
does.
He's like a big kid, man. And he's so fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. He's sometimes I get lost listening to him play.
Yeah. And he can fucking play, dude.
He's right.
Steve's one of the best shredding guitar players around here, man.
And the encyclopedia of songs.
Yeah.
Like, he's just this knowledge of all kind of songs from up and down the list. You name it, you can, give him a few seconds. He'll probably, now he gets on stage and is like, I forgot how that starts. But of course that happens to us all. But Steve really has been just that backbone piece to this, this whole deal.
He's kept the thing moving forward.
And at times where I've struggled with it, just not getting enough bookings kind of deal, or just not thinking we're going in the direction I felt we could be going. Steve has always been that kind of guy. Mike, we're going to be okay. And when the first drummer went away and we brought in Dave Patterson, he filled in a couple times for us, so he became a steady point. And then earlier this year, Joey wanted to do something different, so he left us. And at that point, I was like, let's just finish out this year with Joey, and kind of, because we became like a family. It really became a brotherhood, and I wasn't sure what to do. And Steve and Dave both called me and said, Mike, we got somebody. We got this. Don't worry about it.
Sounds like you get this. You know what it is? You didn't grow up in bands.
No.
These guys have all been in bands for years and years, and they're used to the revolving door.
Yeah.
That's what happens, dude. Like that.
Yes.
That is so normal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People evolve. They grow. People go in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Like we see like people that are in like hardcore heavy metal bands start indie rock projects. Like that's just the nature of artists.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I can hear it in your voice. Like you're getting discouraged.
Yeah, sure.
But there's always going to be somebody that can fill that space.
Right.
Yeah, and Jerry has stepped in. Tremendous guy. He came from a Hammer Down. Still plays with them too. But Jerry comes in, and it's funny. I didn't realize this, but Jerry and I have known of each other, or not really known of each other.
Been in the same circles.
Yeah, well, he actually is friends with my best friend Ray Reyes from high school. And so he was friends with him in junior high, and me and Ray became friends in high school. But so he had been around Ray's family before I. Mm-hmm. And it was really weird when Ray messages, hey, you're playing with my brother. And I'm like, I don't know this. How do you know this dude? And so it was really weird how, or kind of, that connection.
Yeah.
That made it a little bit even easier, because now I'm like, oh, my brother. I'm like, your family, and then come to find out his wife is the aunt of my daughter, my second daughter-in-law, or
Wow.
my middle son's daughter, wife.
It's a tight community.
Yeah,
This is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that, and kind of meant to be situations, and just following along those lines is how it's built up.
And well, let me ask you this: are you having fun?
Man,
Because that's really what you're doing this for, right?
No, yeah,
Like it's nice to get some money at the end of the night, but the Poisonous has played here twice before, by the way. If you haven't seen them yet, get your ass out here this Saturday and see them. They are a fantastic Poison show, and you're one of the most fun tributes, because and a lot of it has to do with you and the way you you are on stage, like your stage presence. And I honestly think it's from a lack of knowing better, not having come from like growing up in bands and like, because so many of these guys have dealt with so much rejection through the years that at some point a lot of these older guys will get on stage and like just the energy's not there.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing it so long. But then you step in there and you are all over the place.
Yeah.
You're getting people singing along. You're getting people involved. You're
making them move.
Yeah, you're making the crowd move, and that's such a great talent. That's a talent in and of itself.
And the guys, speak to that too. It comes from a place where I grew up watching and going to shows.
Yeah, you were idolizing these guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And it became something where when you see a front man who doesn't connect to the audience, you lose that connection with the band,
Yeah,
right?
it
You just at the end of a show, whether you were entertained and you had a good time. And for me, it's not. I don't necessarily quote unquote rock star kind of thing. It's more of a connection to the audience.
Yeah.
And bringing people in that says you paid your money, whatever it is, to come out and spend that time with me. Well, I can't just stand on stage and do nothing.
It's an exchange of energy. You give it to them, they give it back, and it just feeds each other.
That's my biggest rule is the more fun y'all have, the more fun I'm going to have. Because if you're not having fun, and I'm not complaining about people who sit down and watch stuff, because, hey, I know. I've gone to shows where I sat down and I'm like, this ain't too bad just sitting around watching a good show.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to sit there and watch a good show, I still want a good show.
Right.
I still want, the music to be good. If the music's tight and the performance is tight and the fun is there and we make mistakes and we trip up and I laugh at myself on stage. Like I will make fun of myself all day long on stage because to me, it makes it personable to the crowd.
And if it's not a good experience, well, I'll just listen to the CD.
Yeah.
That's
it. Right. I'm like, you're getting a live performance, not playing it on the, on the radio, on the CD.
Yeah. And you're doing a great job of selling the show.
Yeah.
Well, and some of that comes from professional wrestling. When I mentioned that, see, I've been in pro wrestling for 15 plus years. When I started in it was doing ring announcing, being a manager, cutting promos, and learning from some of the top guys in the business on how to connect with the audience. And the guys, in the band, they attribute that to me. They said that, performance and learning that in pro wrestling helped build the front man that I am. And, I use that. Like I'll cut a heel promo and turn it into a baby, a good guy promo. And on stage, like I'll get mad at people. I'm like, y'all are just going to sit around and do nothing. And then turn it around. I'm like, come on, let's have some fun. So it's one of those where I can gauge on how to catch the crowd. And some hits, some misses. But if I get a few people having a good time at the end of the night, they're saying, "Wow, that was so much fun." That's the grin on the face at the end of the day.
Well, I do know people had some fun at their last show because they've already made comments about coming back. So.
Oh yeah, no, and if I remember correctly, the day of that show back in February, we were the first band to sell out before the door.
Yes.
We started a trend, did we not?
Yes, you did.
You were.
You did. You set that trend for the year because
that was really fucking cool moment for us. I had
really
never
was.
sold a show out before we opened the doors, so that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And, me and Mike, we go back to high school and stuff, so I've been very proud of the work you've done here. And,
thank you, man. We're not going to go there.
No, we are.
Let's talk about King of Noise, man. I want to know how what started King of Noise.
So okay, fine.
Just get him back later.
No, we're gonna get him because I think we have time here. So one more thing, and I with the Poisonous, and this is a true tie-in to how it all kind of makes sense. My wife Chastity, her birthday is March 15th. Bret Michaels' birthday is March 15th.
Damn.
Meant to be.
So
if I can't have him, I'll have
she's a fan of Bret Michaels. So, and so she's got the not quite version, but no, she's been a great supporter and all that too. And
No, it's fun to like look out and see your wife having a good time.
Oh,
you know,
man.
like I mean, I get the same feeling when my wife comes to shows and I can see her over there having a good time with her friends. I'm like, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's
no,
so
she's
fun.
my go-to. I look for her in the crowd. If she's not having a good time, I'm like, okay, why is my wife not having fun?
Right.
You know, but in most cases, you know, she's up front, she's dancing, she's talking with fans, she's that representation of me out in the crowd, and because I'll mention her, you know, I'll bring her on stage because she can sing. I'm trying to get her to work a song up for Kings of Noise, but she's amazing and does a lot for me to keep me kind of not just, I won't say grounded, but keeping me focused on what's going on out you know, on stage and stuff.
Very cool.
And
Might make a good team.
oh yeah, no. If I get nervous, I find her, right, and it's early on. It was where's my focal point, and it was
Right.
always her. Yeah, so
That's sweet.
But
Yeah, it's your
yeah.
peace and your grounding. I like
that's
that.
it. So I just earned some.
All right, Kings of Noise.
Yeah, Kings
Tell
of
me-
Noise. Let's get
tell
back
me how
into
this
it.
started. Yeah, let's get back on
So
track.
Poison only has a set list that people know.
About an hour.
Right, hour and a half tops. Good show,
Yeah.
great show, but it's our gimmick.
Yeah.
It's our gimmick show. And we started playing around with some songs that Poison covered off the Poisoned album, right? So they were doing What I Like About You, Squeeze Box, Rock and Roll All Night. Like they did an album of cover songs.
Yeah.
And so we started adding that in to kind of fill up some time.
Fill space.
And then we started realizing, well, let's see, we can either open up for a band or headline for a band, but we're kind of splitting pay. We got to worry about who else is going to open up for us. If we're open up for someone else, we're not getting paying as much as.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, if we're doing this, let's be honest, we're doing this for some kind of money, but most of it's for fun. But so we started playing around, and all of a sudden we started. "Ooh, I like that song. Let's play this song." So we started developing songs that we just
A catalog.
right, and just started picking up songs. I'm like, well, we can do Dirty Deeds, we can do this, we can do that, and all of a sudden we put together a set list that could be the Kings of Noise. And the Kings of Noise name came from the Poison intro that I do. So the Poison intro is the Glam Slam Kings of Noise, and that was an old school intro for Poison. And so I was like, well, why don't we just call it the Kings of Noise and play all the songs that are from the bands that.
So you're covering them as Poison.
Well, no, we're covering them as ourselves.
As ourselves,
So
okay.
we
Got it.
there's
Yeah, it's like two different bands. So the
Yeah.
Kings of Noise will play a set, and it's just them the way they are. But then when they come out as Poisonous, they look like Poison.
right.
Got it.
So so now we have it adds to the enhancement of the show.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
it eliminates the need to have a whole nother band on the bill. It kind of makes the night go a little smoother.
Mm-hmm.
One sound check. And, you know, it's like he said earlier, Steve is an encyclopedia of fucking music. So it's like there's endless possibilities what they can do by having the Poisonous tribute. They can headline that anytime, anywhere, and open for themselves.
Yeah.
And every time you could be a different set and you've got pretty decent range too with your voice. So there's a lot you can do, in that era.
And also helps that that Steve can play different guitars and go into different keys.
Yeah.
So if you see the white guitar, we're doing some of the Motley Crue, some of the higher pitched key songs. So we go into the white guitar song, and then we have his regular half step down guitar, and those are regular songs. But when the white guitar is up, you'll
a higher octave.
Yeah, it's. I was like, I have range, but let's.
What's the one song that you're just like, I'm not even going to try? There's
Oh,
got to be
man.
one that the band's been like, well, let's do this, and you're like, no, I can't do that.
There's oh god, off the top of my head I can't think of it, but there's a few from like, Vince Neil's range or Sebastian Bach, like
Sebastian
yeah.
Bach's who I was thinking.
Yeah, no,
that's exactly who I was thinking.
Yeah, like
That dude was nuts. With
we've
his
talked
range.
about a few of those. We're actually
Yeah.
trying Firehouse's Don't Treat Me Bad.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it a full step down, and towards the end,
That gets you in there.
yeah, towards the end, and then
Warms it up.
and then towards the end, I'm working on the version that's out there from like 2013 or something like that they had played it a full step down, and mimicking that, the way he sings it and stuff, so I can get it in there. But I also put my own spin to it, and find my range and find my way of doing the songs.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll do, we had been doing Girls, 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 and, you know, that's a tough song. I'm going to be real. That's, you know, that is a tough song. And I found my way of doing it.
Cool.
And, you know, so when we performed it, yeah, it's a little kind of, it doesn't flow like a da-da-da. It's more cut, but because I'm breathing. But I just find my way to sing these songs and make them kind of not my way, our version of doing it. And
where it still feels like Poison, but you're staying in that.
well, it feels
like if it's Girls, 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 it'd be like Motley Crue. So it still has that same flow, but in his range.
It's like you want. For me, a cover band is, you know, they're not, you know, it's not so much of doing exactly right. Or exactly to scale of the band you're playing, because
I think it depends on the band.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think there are bands you can take liberties with, and there are bands you cannot.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Like for
Absolutely.
example, System of a Down, you cannot take
No.
liberties with that music.
Right.
It's not going to work.
Oh.
But a lot of those '80s hair metal stuff,
You
there's
can.
there's room.
Yeah.
There's a
There's
gray
room
area.
in there to play around a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you and Jassy are working on maybe on doing a duet. I mean, is it okay to ask, like, because I'm over here thinking Lita Ford and Ozzy. Like, is that are you going there?
I've actually told her she could do like some Joan Jett or something on her own.
Yeah.
And we've tossed around because
I
we
just
go.
want to hear you guys do If I Close My Eyes Forever.
Yeah,
Such a good
that's
song.
a good
Such a
one.
good fucking song.
That's up to her, like, because we do Crazy Train.
You should do it.
And we've played around with a couple other Ozzy songs. Ozzy is unique in himself, but Crazy Train is so fun.
Yeah, it is.
You
Yeah.
can
It's a
just
fun
let
song.
that rock. Like
Yeah.
you just let that go.
Yeah, that's one that you can kind of
Yeah.
do whatever you want
Yeah.
with.
Oh man.
Because
that one.
everyone else is going to be singing it anyway.
Exactly.
They're not really listening to you.
They're like,
Yeah.
I know this song.
Oh, I make no excuse for myself. I will sit there and point the mic out like this a lot of times.
I need to breathe.
I need to
Sing.
I was like, especially when you're doing 2 sets a night,
Yeah.
this thing right here helps a lot. And when you know, we'll do songs that other cover bands are covering too. And the reality of it is there's only so many songs really out there that people want to hear over and over again, and they'll continue to hear over and over again because they remember it from their childhood or from growing up
Yeah.
or whatever, and they don't care that they've heard Rock and Roll All Night 18 billion times.
Yep.
When it comes on, guess what they're doing?
They're gonna sing
Rock,
it.
You know,
Yeah.
they're singing it. So, but it's when we do Kings of Noise, it's us doing these songs, and you know, we started doing REO Speedwagon's "Take It on the Run,"
Love that song.
and
so
when we
much.
did that and found a way to make it at our version, we've found out that other bands are now starting to cover it too because of the way it interacts with the audience. So you get the
Yeah, I do have a
crowd
high
singing it.
register. So.
And so, you know, at the end of that song, we always allow the audience to sing the chorus back to us by themselves. And it's just that, again, connection. But it's just those type of songs that we love doing. And we'll get up and we'll do rehearsals and we'll just, hey, let's try this. And next thing you know, we're playing it. You know, we're getting ready. We've got some really cool stuff worked up for the 28th. I don't necessarily want to give it away, but
give them something to look forward to.
But we're covering a metal version of Funky Cold Medina.
Oh,
Hell
shit.
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, so we found a version on YouTube, and we've kind of took that version and made it our own. And I said, you know, we need something really different for us, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of to try. And we started working on it, and it's taken us about 3 months to really find the right rhythm, the right,
Tune it, tweak it.
to tighten it up and get the rap right to mix with the guitars and everything. So I'm really excited to try that one out. That one's going to be, you know, when we play it, it's either going to hit or it's going to be like, okay, that was a little weird.
I'm gonna love it.
I'm
I'm
looking
gonna
forward to
love
that
that.
one.
And you know, so that's the cover band.
Is there enough time to learn Christmas and Hollis?
Oh,
Well, that would be after. Well, we
it's still the holiday season.
Yeah, it's still a
yes,
holiday.
it's still the holiday season, right? But yeah, the Kings of Noise really is just us having fun as ourselves, and we've do our show a couple different ways. We play the Poison set first, and then if we have to do long sets, because we go to places like Stooges, and we do an hour and a half Poison, and then 2 hours of Kings of Noise, because there's more songs on that thing. But some places we've played, and we used to play Stooges, and you do 3 1-hour sets. Well, I'm 48 years old, and Steve is 60-something years old, and I'm telling you, when you break every hour and to come back, that takes it takes a lot.
It's easier to push through.
Yeah, so we just said, let's just do 1 long 2-hour set. And I, taking that pro wrestling experience, build my set list like a show, like I'm watching matches. So I watch the song. I watch me perform it when I'm making my list. So I'm doing a set list, and I'm watching myself perform it as I'm putting my set list together. And so I'm like, do I want a slow song here? How do I come out of that song? What do we go into? And I can watch my whole set from my envisionment, and if I don't like it, I'll pull it out. I'm like, I don't know where to put that song yet.
That's cool that you're putting that much thought into it.
Oh no, it's and the guys, they there's you put it on a piece of paper, we'll play it. Okay, but I like to put songs in places that have the right feeling to me.
You're basically it's like you're writing a script for the evening.
Yes. That's exactly
good
what
way
I'm
to
doing.
put it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, can we talk about Justin Waters for a minute?
Absolutely.
And how he got involved here? And
yes, Justin Waters is my oldest stepson, and he is a tremendous artist. Plays guitar, sings. He's had his own band a couple times, and I've always kind of pushed him to do. He's done it before me. He was doing this on his own. And stuff, but he's, of course, now being a father of 2 now, his time is shifted a little bit, and priorities are on his family, but he is super talented, plays a range from country to a little hip hop and rock. Like, he again, very similarity of taking songs and kind of making them his own, and he's someone I know could do tremendously well on his own. And he just wants places to play. He just loves to play.
Yeah.
And that's his thing. And
he's just here to have a good time.
Yeah. And
nothing but a good time.
That's it. And so when we got this gig back when we did the February gig, I went, well, Justin, you want to open up and do a little acoustic set just to kind of, maybe not so much warm up the crowd, but just kind of get the feel of music in the air.
Yeah.
Because, if you can play music over the PA, but that's just noise, white noise. When you're putting on a show, to me, it's like, if I could start that show and build up and kind of ride that little roller coaster and the emotion, and he connects with the audience too, because he's that a single person acoustic, he has to connect with the audience. He has to kind of, interact a little bit more, because it's just him.
Yeah.
And he has such a dry sense of humor, and it's just hilarious, because I'll poke at him. And what's funny, from the first show we did with him here, he had like 3 or 4 more songs on the set list, and he did Toby Keith had just passed away. So he did the Toby Keith song. And I'm in the audience watching him. I was like, 1 more. He thought I was cutting him off. So he only did 1 more song. I wanted him to do 1 more Toby Keith song, which he had planned. So he got confused. I was like, dude, no, I was telling you to play like 1 more Toby Keith, and he thought I was cutting him off. And I went, oh, dang. Because he was doing great. Like, he was killing it. And so I told him, this time just play until you're done, and then we'll take over.
Well, we're looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a fun night, man. It's the Saturday before New Year's Eve, man. We're going to end the year right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, when we talked about the date, and you said December 28th, and I went, oh God, what do we do on December 28th with New Year's and Christmas, in between New Year's and Christmas?
It's hard. It's hard for me too, like, to think about like what, because like it's I don't know. You and I are similar in age. When we were younger, you came home for the holidays, you were going out at night.
Yeah.
Like the bartenders were making money around the holidays.
Sure.
When we were in our 20s. But like now, it's like it's different, man. It's like you don't see the younger crowd coming out around the holidays.
No, I think some of this might stem back to the couple years ago with the pandemic and stuff like that.
Possibly,
maybe. And I've been thinking about that because someone we was in conversation, I think last night with our friends.
Like, don't you want to see how bad all your high school friends turned out?
Well, the idea,
Unofficial reunions.
I had this idea of running a pro wrestling show sometime early next year. I'm trying to maybe do something like that. And, they were asking how, a show would do during the holidays. Well, those used to do really well during the holidays. I mean, wrestling shows would be something else for people to go do when they've, after they've eaten and opened presents and done that. Instead of sitting around the house, you would go out. Mm-hmm. So the idea here is, yes, let's get people back out and enjoying each other together. Like, instead of sitting around the house and worrying about, the holidays and stressing over that, basically once that stress is gone or you need a stress reliever, ain't no better place to go than the Rooster and come rock it out.
That's right. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, like on Christmas Day, our neighbor, his dad would always take us to the movies on Christmas.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah, God bless the Jews, right? They always open on Christmas Day, so we'd go see a movie on it. So that's like kind of what got me started as a kid. It was always like on a holiday, like you do your thing with your family, then you go out and have some fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, as a young adult, it was like, for most of my 20s, I didn't live here, so I'd be home for the holidays. I wanted to go out and see people I don't get to see all year, that kind of thing. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the shows I'm booking around
Bring
holidays.
everybody.
That's why I'm doing like tributes and like we did for the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we did our first emo night. I wanted to do it that weekend because it was like $5. It's not a live band that's going to be too loud for some people. It's like come have a good time.
You know what you're in for too.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
It's not. You're not
like, is this a good band?
You
Is
don't
it a bad
have to research
band?
a new
Yeah.
band.
Yeah.
So I'm intentionally around the holidays booking stuff like this that people can get on board with without skepticism.
Yeah. You basically are bringing in that known commodity.
Yeah.
If you will. And the idea with that known commodity is it's going to be a good show. It'll entice people to come out and get people out, and that only enhances kind of the downtown area, if you will, because it'll get people to go out to eat, stop in, come see a show, and that's it.
Yeah, tell them how good we are for the local economy.
Look,
Right?
this place is to me is a blessing for Gastonia because there's bars that have bands here in town and musical acts, but there's never, to my knowledge, up until recently, with the Rooster being a place for any type of band or any type of act to perform and be a kind of a throwback atmosphere to like I'll compare it to like the Whiskey or something like that, where you would walk in and they'd have the stage like you've got set up, and it's meant for that musical performance. And you're meant
it's a music venue that has a bar rather than a bar that has a stage.
That's it. And so that right there sets this place, apart. And this is, and I know you're in support of all places and all businesses and stuff and venues. What's good for this is good for the musical artist. This place really allows musical artists to expand themselves a little bit because some people may not want to go to a bar to hear a band because they don't have the good sound, might not have good enough sounds and stuff like that. Or some people just want to sit around and so they'll go to a bar, but some people want to kind of be, want that feeling of being connected to the band. And this place provides that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole heart behind this is to connect people. That's the reason why we're here. I mean, you wanted to talk about it earlier. Now that everyone's checked out of the show, I'll speak.
He beats himself up.
He gets on my nerves.
Nah, it's the real heart behind this project was like when I'll take you back to where it came from. The idea originated back in like 2015. My wife and I we were talking on the way home from a show. We're always on these long drives coming back from shows. Like, wouldn't it be nice if Gastonia had a place like this?
Sure.
So that's kind of where the origin of the idea. Well, we didn't really think nothing of it at the time. It was just kind of a cool thought. Fast forward to like 2017, 2018, really 2016, like when Trump got elected, the world went fucking nuts, man. everyone lost their fucking mind. And a couple years into his presidency, I started to feel people pulling away into like little groups, like-minded, like this is your ideology. These are the people that you hang with, and this is it's very, very akin to religion. Like the people have turned politics into religion, and the heart behind this was because at the time there was this is the place you go if you're this person. Yeah. This is the place to go if you're this type of person. Yeah. Like that. And I was like, man, I don't like the way that feels. And I saw this as an opportunity to bring people back together. Because after 2016 and then the pandemic, then 2020 split people up even more. I mean, there's still people driving around with masks on in their cars. Fuck is wrong with you? But this whole thing was to bring people together. Like no matter who you are, no matter what walk of life you're from, this is a place for you. Now, are there some people this place isn't for? Yeah, if you're trying to get drunk and start fights, this ain't the place for you. No. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to scream at people at the bar, this ain't the place for you. If you're trying to hang out and have a good time, and the heart of everything we do is entertainment. I want people to be entertained. I want to give people something to do that's not staring at your phone, where you can connect with other people and build community. And that's really what this place is about. Well, that's why we were able to stay in business when it looked like we were going to lose it.
Well, in the Poison Show, when we do something to believe in, I get to preach a little bit, right? And I get to get on my little soapbox and speak to the words of that song and the kind of the meaning behind that song to me, really. And, something very similar to what Bret does with it, honoring veterans and things of that nature. But I also take it a little further and say, we don't know everybody here. And you could be on this side of the political aisle or that side, or all that stuff doesn't matter, because we're all hanging out together and having a good time.
Yeah.
I always say that's something to believe in right there. It's like, hey, we can come out together and have a good time together and enjoy some music and entertainment. And again, maybe make a friend, and you might not agree, with that person on certain levels, but are you having a good time? Yeah. Do you care that they did this, that, and the other? No, you're there enjoying and to
you're
me,
in the moment.
Yeah. And maybe they carry that with them a little bit when they leave here, and they'll want to come back, and they're out hanging again.
Absolutely.
Now they're seeing that same person again. Maybe it
that
bridges some conversation and some gaps there.
And that dopamine hit you get from being at a live show lasts a whole lot longer than the one from
your phone. Absolutely.
From your phone.
Yeah.
And look, we get one of these lives, right? And we're all gonna die.
Absolutely.
We're all gonna die. Yeah. That's death and taxes, right? Enjoy the fucking ride, man. Have some fun.
Yeah.
Connect with people, do something fun. And get to know people. You're going to be safe here. You don't have to worry about your safety here. I can promise you that.
Oh no,
and it's like are you trying to? You can't take any of this stuff with you when you go. When you're gone, and you're leaving everyone behind, and then you're gone. That's it. So while you're here, have fun. Let's do some fun stuff together.
A lot of people, I think, kind of use their maybe a religious view or political view or something in their life, a viewpoint that they've grown up on, and they kind of make it so stark.
Identity. It makes their identity.
Yeah. I want everybody to have fun, just like me.
And it prevents them from seeing, and this is everybody. I'm not I'm not pointing out anyone. This is almost anybody that can take something and kind of use it as a manner of hatred, if you will, or just a dislike of something because they're different, or they don't agree with you. And
it's tribal mindset.
Yeah.
It's something we've talked about this before. I talk about this a lot actually with in my personal life with people. It's we're it's in our DNA, right? To be tribal, to have small communities. it's still kind of a new thing to have these huge metropolis areas, right? Like, you think back and like, I think the Greeks and Romans were some of the first to like figure out society, right? Like big communities. Up until then, scavenging and hunting food and like running from bears and tigers, it wasn't that long ago in the range of history.
Sure.
And our brains, that's still how our brains work. It's just tribal mindset. And now that all of our modern comforts are being met, and we don't have to hunt for food, and we don't have to run from wild animals, and
now we hunt each other.
We have vaccines for. We have comforts, right? And so now our brains are still programmed into that like divisive tribal mindset. So instead of doing it with our communities, like of the people we live around, we do it with the group's like ideology. Our minds have evolved. We're no longer cavemen. Now we're philosophers. You know what I'm saying?
The need has changed. It's not survival anymore.
Well,
it's
not survival. We need conflict.
Yeah.
And look, conflict's not a bad thing. It's how we got smart. The best idea wins in the end, right?
Right.
And historically, the people with the best ideas eventually got there. And every step of the way, the person with the best idea was villainized, at the time because it was different.
Yeah.
And some people have learned how to go with the flow and learn how to. I try to be malleable. I try to be more pragmatic than I am religious about stuff, because I could be wrong about something. Teach me.
Yeah.
I want to know the better thing. I want to know the better idea. And, I just think it's really difficult for some people, especially if you don't have the wherewithal and I don't want to sound like an asshole when I say this, but, the ability to articulate things, clearly. Not everybody has that skill.
Yeah.
That was very well articulated.
And then you look at the examples of I guess, quote, like leaders or examples of people who've put themselves out in front of people.
Yeah.
And, on a religious side, you see you're saying that this person did these bad things, but they're representing something that's supposed to be love, right? Or this way. And then you look to the other side, and this is how a person's representative. And you build these stereotypes, you build these judgments, you build these ideas in your head, and everyone does it, your own experience. And so when someone is trying to tell someone that they're doing wrong or right or whatever, what are you judging it against? And then you're trying to say, well, if this person, a priest who did, bad or whatever, like,
that becomes the representative of the whole religion to them. Yeah.
So,
are you trying to tell me a priest touched you?
No, I'm not. No,
No, that's kind of what's happened to Gastonia.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you take someone that falls underneath that kind of belief structure, and they're trying to tell someone that they're doing, someone else that they're doing wrong, well, that person's like, well, how can you tell me anything when you're doing this?
There's a real simple solution to all of that. Mind your own fucking business. Like, get out of people's business. You remember growing up?
Yeah.
Ain't none of your business.
I think there's a definitely piece to that, but there's also a piece of, and I'm from Christian faith and belief that if I know what I believe is truth, then I want to share it with you in a manner that becomes in a loving. It's
more appealing,
right? But not to degrade that, but also to sit there. But as I'm witnessing, if you will, if we're getting into it, those people, the people on the other side who are against being told that, hey, what I'm doing is wrong. Well, what are you to tell me that I'm doing it wrong? And why are you so bent on telling me that it's wrong?
Yeah.
And some of it is, well, because I love you and I wouldn't let you drive a truck off a cliff if I knew you were going to drive a truck off a cliff, right? But what's missing is conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, let me try to make sense of what you're saying. What you're saying is there's a responsibility, if you are convicted enough about something and you are the type of person who is a leader, you feel a responsibility to share information.
Right.
And the problem is most of the people that share information that way, they're not as well received by people who believe different because of the way that they come off. Like you come off as pious or narcissistic or whatever adjective you want to use to describe someone who thinks they're always
right. And they build up that wall.
Yeah, and people are resistant to that, where the real way to get to somebody or to not even to change somebody's mind, but just to give somebody some food for thought is to have a conversation.
That's it. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I think you knew where I was going.
I knew where you were going with it. I was just waiting.
Articulation.
Yeah, no.
Dude, I was not like this 20 years ago. I was such a bastard 20 I didn't know how to talk to anybody.
I'm a little bad at going down rabbit holes and getting off trails a little bit. So.
We say all this to say, come have nothing but a good time this Saturday, the 28th, right here at the Rooster with Poisonous, Kings of Noise, and Justin Waters. This is going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a ton of fun.
We will not be talking politics or philosophy at the show.
But what we want to do is sell it out again.
Absolutely.
Yes, please, let's sell this out again.
Since we're talking about the Rooster here and having a good time and everything, when you made your post earlier in the year and we're doing the event to save the Rooster, I kept looking at the post and we as a band were like, oh man, this sucks, because it was not just a fun place to play, but it was like this was a place for everybody to come and be a part of. And I'm like,
turns out people don't want that.
And of course,
actually they do, because they say.
Of course, everyone has their opinions of why and stuff like that. And we as a band were like, well, maybe they could have done this. Opinions.
Yeah.
Opinions,
believe me, I've thrown everything on the wall.
And when you started to open that up a little bit and just talk about what's going on, I was like, well, shoot, that's life right there. I mean, he's trying and he got hit with something that couldn't do anything about.
Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, well, I could donate money, but I wanted to do something kind of, special. I was like, I've got something here that, well, one, the Panthers weren't really doing that well at the time. So I was like, I can give up, and fortunately the Tampa Bay game was on Thanksgiving or Sunday after Thanksgiving. And so we always do a family dinner then. So I was like, hey, Mike, how about give you my Panthers tickets and see if they can help you out a little bit.
Yeah, no, and we're very grateful because they did. I mean, we put in,
my personal money went in the Panthers ticket bucket.
And,
didn't Marty win that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Marty got that.
But not just you. We had other local musicians and individuals donate instruments and just
three guitars.
Guitars. We had a bass station.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. Look, man, like I haven't talked about it a lot. I haven't.
It was overwhelming.
Well, I'll be honest, dude. I'll be perfectly honest. I'll talk about it now. It's probably, let's see, what are we in December? That was the beginning of September. It was the last week. It was the last week of August when the bank sent the appraisers here.
Yeah,
like they were going to foreclose. Like it was over. It was over. And that I was hoping that last weekend of August I could get enough to hold them off.
Right.
And it didn't. We didn't. So that Saturday, I don't think we had a Sunday show. And that Saturday, I sat in my office after it closed up and was just like, this is it. Like it's fucking it. And the next day I talked to my wife and daughter about it. And I was like, well, I could try doing a GoFundMe. But it felt like I was begging. Yeah. Like it was very humiliating.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked. Like I don't need to get into all the details, but it worked.
But watching the promoters that were here that day that we decided to put the benefit, like it was like, no, we got this. They jumped on it.
Everyone jumped in to help, and it was very overwhelming. You gotta put yourself in my shoes for a minute. I've got a family. Like I got a wife. I got kids. Yeah. Like, I got shit going on outside of this place.
Like when he told me, I was like, this is so sad.
And I'm feeling the entire weight of this falling on me. Like, what am I going to do? I'm about to lose it all that shit. Everybody jumped in and was super supportive. It was very emotionally overwhelming for me. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. We're actually going to save the Rooster. And then it took me, honestly, I think I'm still in this headspace where I'm just really not sure what I'm supposed to take away from all that. Like how I really feel about it. Because, there's part of me that's like, well, I failed. Like they were going to it took a bunch of people throwing a bunch of money at this problem to keep us in business. And I'm still struggling to pack the room, right? Like it's just not happening. Like it's like not a lot has changed. Like we're still not seeing bigger crowds. So then there's a part of me that's angry. I'm like, well, everyone rallied around to save the Rooster, but they're still not coming out to shows every week. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then there's the part of me that the bigger part of me that's just grateful that I still have time to do this.
Yeah.
Because this, I plan to be here for a very long time. But if that doesn't happen, look at what all the cool shit we've done and how many people we've helped in the time we've been here. And if this ends up not working out at some point, I can walk away saying, man, we raised all this money for Web Street School. We did cancer benefits. We've done toy drives. Yeah. We've given thousands of individual people an opportunity to play on that stage.
Yes.
And so I got nothing to feel bad about at the end of the day. No. But I still have to keep the business. I'm still trying to. So like I still don't think I've reconciled my feelings from that.
It's a lot. I don't have as much in it as he does, but I am just as emotionally and physically connected.
Sure.
Other than the money aspect of it, same thing. Yeah. I still can't wrap around because I was like, nope, we're jumping in on this. I'm not going to stop.
It was like this big tidal wave of love that I felt for those 2 weeks where the funds were coming in. I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
And then I still talk about the show that Saturday. I can't tell you how many times I cried that day, just watching everybody, and it just.
Well, it speaks a lot of volume, huge volume to not just the Rooster but y'all as well, because while people may not be coming out in the droves, and that takes a lot more to get people to come out. Yeah. It's easier to kind of throw some money at something and feel like, and this isn't a judgment of anyone, but it's the truth. It's like, what could I do? Could I throw money at you? Yes. Could I come out to a few more shows, than I wasn't, some of the bands I like, some of the bands, you're bringing us Stone Whiskey. I'm going to be here for Stone Whiskey, but because I know, they're good friends. And stuff, which people should come out to that show and support them. I'm actually booked Stone Whiskey to open up for us in Bristol next year.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Right on. That'll be fun for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but to get back to this, you're not wrong in those feelings, right?
Yeah.
You're running a business, and the business to keep allowing this to happen, it's like, you got this money and that's great support, but you need to, as you're doing this, you're like, is that all I've got? Is that all I got? Is there money? I mean, I want, you appreciate the money and it helps you save, but now you want to turn that energy into, okay, you paid your money. Come out.
Yeah, come out.
Just come out
and give you great
see what you
shows that
saved.
you donated to save.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is.
And those listening and watching today, if you donated and supported and haven't been to a show, I'm not shaming you, but maybe you should feel shamed.
I'm grateful for every single dollar. I mean, there were donations from $5 up to $4,000.
Right, and again, I'm not trying to
and I have I have that list, and I'm grateful to every single person on that list. Just know that you kept my dream alive. Like this was my dream, and I fell flat on my fucking face. And you guys saved it, and I couldn't be more grateful that I have more time to do this.
But that also serves a point. You've been inspirational. All these things that you're doing now. Your kids, your friends, your media close people that are close to you, that you are influencing a circle of people that you may not even know.
Yeah. I've got a teenage daughter that I'm destined to prove that this can be done. You know what I'm saying? Like I want her to see what it takes. Now she's a teenager and she's just watched her dad go through all this.
Yeah, it's
and so she's into basketball. That's her thing.
Okay.
And I'm throwing every bit of support I can behind her, getting her individual training, signing her up for summer leagues, everything, so that she can hone her skills because she's seeing the hard work from what we're doing here. And I tell her all the time, you have to apply that same mentality to whether it's basketball, whether it's music, whatever. You want to be a scientist, you got to apply that same level of commitment and energy. And a lot of people don't have it.
They don't have it.
Yeah, no, it's that drive. I grew up, I grew up watching pro wrestling as a kid, Saturday mornings at my papa's house, Rock and Roll Express, Ric Flair, all those, right? Then he put me to work after that. You watch wrestling in the morning? All right, now we're going to work.
Right.
But to grow up and be a fan of pro wrestling and then get introduced into that business, and the wrestling, one of the wrestling legends, the Barbarian, took me on as his manager, and we rode up and down the East Coast doing shows. He took me to Nigeria for a wrestling tour. We did a wrestling tour with him and went to Nigeria. I've met and had some of the biggest names in wrestling in my car, driving them to the airport. I can drop names if you want me to, but I do. My phone is tethered with all kind of connects to that world. But I use that in this. I was just a kid who watched wrestling. I never dreamed that I would be anywhere close to being part of it.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I'm connected.
Well, that's the exact same thing for me. I grew up, music has been such a big fucking part of my life for so long. I mean, I was in a band in high school. I didn't stick with it. So, I put the guitar down at 20 years old and moved on to other things, but I've never lost my connection to music, and I've always wanted to be around it. And back in the day, before I owned this place, I used to manage bars and restaurants and stuff, and it's like I had this part of it down.
So you took a passion, built an experience, took that and built another experience.
Yeah, I found a way to surround myself with the thing that I love the most.
And so very similar to me of taking certain experiences, making connections, making friends, being out there. We're running low on time?
Yeah, we're running low.
Okay.
I just got the signal.
Yeah, I saw it too in the quarter mile. And then, but then just building these relationships and experiences, and it developed into from wrestling to rock and roll. And now we're ready to close out 2024 in a very big way for the Rooster.
I'd love to incorporate wrestling into one of our festivals. So we need to talk about that after the show.
Absolutely.
That would be
well,
fun.
I'm wanting to do a rock and wrestling show. So
well, let's talk about that after the show. We'll wrap it up now. We'll tell people be here this Saturday.
Get your tickets.
The 28th.
Get your tickets.
Get tickets. Sell it out again.
Let's sell it out.
Yes.
Break a fucking
great
record.
Christmas presents right there.
Yes. And
Yes,
it's
exactly.
and if you can't celebrate New Year's on a Tuesday, come celebrate New Year's on a Saturday.
That's it.
The Not Quite New Year's Eve party with Poisonous, Kings of Noise, and Justin Waters.
That's been great, guys.
Thank you so much for doing this, Mike. I appreciate the hell out of it. Peace and love.